On a missionary trip gone wrong, a pilot is forced to crash land his plane full of animals on an uncharted island in the Pacific. With no hope of rescue, his only chance of survival is to convert the old B-29 into a ship. On a calm and peaceful morning, Noah Dugan, a cynical and jaded pilot, is rudely woken by two men named Coslow and Benchley, who barge into his apartment to demand he pay the money he owes Mr. Parker within 24 hours. Before they leave, the two men beat him up and remind him once more of the deadline. The following day, Noah tries to apply for work but is denied multiple times due to his infamous poor behavior. Luckily, his old friend Stoney has a job for him since the previous pilot bailed. As they walk towards the airbase, Stoney explains that the task will be easy, as it only requires him to fly a cargo of animals to a remote Pacific island called Makwarana. However, Noah senses a catch and realizes that he has to use a rundown B-29 and flatly refuses, since flying with animals in an old plane is a recipe for disaster. Stoney argues that the animals are sacred beasts brought up at an orphanage by missionaries Bernadette Lafleur and Charlotte Brathwaite. However, Noah isn't swayed, so Bernadette asks Stoney for a refund, who unfortunately has spent her cash. She then threatens to rat him out to the police, so the frightened Stoney begs Noah to take the job. Noah demands $5,000 up front, but settles on receiving the $2,000 cash now with the $3,000 check to follow. Afterward, Noah checks the plane and grumbles about how outdated it is. Bernadette then spots Petey, a duck, climb into one of the shafts, so Noah crawls inside to rescue it. The duck pecks him for handling it violently and the shaft collapses under his weight. Nearby, Coslow and Benchley observe to see if Noah won't try to escape. However, they're skeptical and decide to antagonize him again. Meanwhile, an infuriated Noah walks away and makes up his mind about not taking the job. Then, he spots Mr. Parker's cronies coming for him and decides he'll take the job if Stoney distracts the men. Noah then runs back to the plane, while Stoney leads the men to his office to buy the pilot some time. Noah then orders everyone from the orphanage to hurry loading the cargo. Impatient on how uncooperative some of the animals are, he starts yelling at them when he's reprimanded by one of the orphans named Bobby for being inconsiderate of their feelings. Bobby explains that he has to talk gently with the creatures and demonstrates by leading Brutus, the bull, into the plane easily. However, Noah isn't impressed and dismisses him. Afterward, he dashes back to his car to retrieve his luggage, stealthily evading the two men sent after him. Bobby and Julie wish to join Bernadette on the journey, but the missionary explains that she must go and teach the people of Makwarana how to care for the animals. She then bids the two orphans farewell and accompanies Noah to the plane. As the children watch them board the B-29, Bobby tells Julie he's concerned that Noah might mistreat the animals and decides to stow away to ensure they are properly cared for. Not wanting to be left behind, Julie follows him, and both children manage to sneak inside the cargo hold just as the aircraft begins taxiing. Charlotte and the rest of the orphans are horrified to discover Bobby and Julie aboard and try to stop Noah from taking off. However, Noah and Bernadette think they're waving goodbye and return the gesture. Meanwhile, the men realize that Stoney has tricked them and attempt to block the plane but fail, as Noah successfully takes off. As per his tradition during every takeoff and landing, Noah lights a cigar, but Bernadette abhors the smoke and moves to the back. A few hours later, aboard, Bernadette plays some classical music, annoying Noah. He proposes to put out the cigar if she stops the music, and the missionary happily obliges. Hours later, Noah begins to feel sleepy and tries to put the aircraft on autopilot, but to his chagrin, the autopilot is broken. Bernadette offers to take over to let him rest, assuring him she knows how to pilot a plane. Noah is dubious but allows her to take control for a while to see if she can manage, when Petey suddenly flies into the cockpit. They turn around and are shocked to see the orphans on board. Bobby tells Bernadette that Melinda the cow is sick, so Noah hurries along to the cargo hold to check, but Brutus the bull knocks him out. The orphans then inform Bernadette of the situation, but since she can't leave the cockpit, she tries to reassure them that Noah will awaken soon. Fortunately, he does, and takes over the flying duties again. The next day, Noah tells Bernadette to anticipate the sunrise from the tail, but is surprised to find it rising by the wing. He then realizes that Bernadette's cassette player has been interfering with the compass's magnetic field, making them fly off course. With their dwindling fuel supply, Noah ultimately decides to fly until they can spot somewhere to land, as they've flown too far to turn back. Noah tries to radio for help, but to no avail. He sees them praying and gets annoyed, but Bernadette tells him there's no harm in praying. Just as the plane is running dangerously low on fuel, Bobby spots an island in the distance and Noah decides to land there. After securing the kids, Bernadette lights a cigar for Noah and sits back down to help him pilot. He then carefully lands the plane on the beach, and they all, fortunately, come out unscathed. Julie thanks Noah for landing them safely and follows Bobby into the cargo hold to check on the animals. Noah and Bernadette exit the plane to check their surroundings, but unbeknownst to them, an elderly Japanese soldier is watching. Bernadette then asks Noah what their plan is, but becomes annoyed when she finds out all he wants to do is relax. She suggests they build an encampment and a corral for the animals while they wait for rescuers. They set to work while the Japanese soldier and his companions spy on them. Noah and Bernadette search for water, leaving the two children to tend to the animals. Brutus manages to escape, so they run after him. They try to find their way back, but realize they're lost. Elsewhere, Bernadette explains that she became a missionary because of her desire to help people, after raising her siblings all by herself, and that it never occurred to her to get married and settle down. Noah surmises that Bernadette got her heart broken, which triggers an argument. Moments later, Bobby and Julie spot a Japanese hideout and rush back to their campsite to inform the adults. They return with the grown-ups, and Noah deduces that the two elderly Japanese soldiers are unaware that World War II is over and orders them to retreat. They return to the plane to hide, but Bernadette insists they must talk with the men. The soldiers then arrive and try to attack them, but their weapons fail. Using the opportunity as an opening, Noah shoots at them with a flare gun and the Japanese fall back immediately. Julie hugs Noah and thanks him, but Bobby doesn't since he dislikes the pilot. Bernadette feels terrible for the soldiers, believing they've been humiliated by their defeat. Noah is appalled at her statement and cites how he could have been killed, but Bernadette doesn't listen as she's adamant about befriending them. Infuriated, Noah makes it clear that he's in command and orders them to return to the plane while he stands guard for the night. After tucking the children into bed, Bernadette checks on Noah and is surprised to see him smoking. He then cites that it was a special exemption because he thinks it better to enjoy his last days on Earth. Bernadette apologizes for being inconsiderate of his feelings, and Noah does the same. She then offers that they work on their friendship and shake on it. Bernadette then relieves him of his guard duty, and Noah hands her the flare gun for protection. As he's about to walk away, Noah looks back at her for a beat before returning to the plane. The following day, Noah finds Bernadette missing and rushes to the jungle to find her, leaving the orphans at the beach. Meanwhile, Bernadette has made her way to the Japanese hideout, determined to befriend them, believing it to be the Christian way. She enters their quarters to search for them when they suddenly arrive and brandish their katanas at her. Noticing that one of the soldiers understands English, she explains that World War II has been over for years and that they've come in peace. Now up to date with the current events, they cook her a meal and eat together. Fearing the soldiers abducted the missionary, Noah crashes into the hideout, prompting Commander Hiro and Lieutenant Kurishima or Cleveland attack him. Bernadette demands them to stop because Noah is her friend and they follow her order. She then introduces them to Noah, and Cleveland explains his moniker is from his mother's favorite place in America. Bernadette then makes them all hold hands as friends, with Noah reluctantly joining in. Later, Bernadette informs Noah that the soldiers have been stuck on the island for 35 years and have had no contact with the outside world. She states that she admires their perseverance to stay alive, but Noah admonishes her for endangering herself, and they argue about the right way to treat enemies. Out of anger, Noah walks away and spends time throwing stones. Afterward, he goes to Bernadette to apologize, and they head outside to talk. Seeing that the missionary has left, the orphans sneak into the cockpit to watch them. Noah then confronts Bernadette about her rash decision earlier, as he was only worried for her safety. He then reveals that he's come to care for her, and kisses her softly. However, Bernadette is shocked by the kiss, but Noah doesn't want to ruin the moment, so he walks away. Bobby can't fathom why Bernadette would like Noah, but Julie argues that he's handsome. However, it doesn't change Bobby's mind, as he continues to resent the pilot. The following day, they try to pull the B-29 off the beach to no avail, when the soldiers arrive and tell them that it's a bad idea. They propose that they turn the aircraft into a boat, but it'll require flipping it upside down. Noah objects to their plan and suggests they stand by for help. However, Cleveland tells him there's no hope in rescue, as they've been stuck on the island for decades. This convinces Noah, and they begin constructing the boat. They remove the wings and other unnecessary parts, and form the tail into a rudder. Afterward, they flip the plane over with Brutus's help, place batteries inside, fill up the holes with bamboo, and construct a central mast. Meanwhile, Bernadette patches up pieces of fabric together and asks the Japanese for a large portion of cloth they can use for the sail, so they decide to give her their battle flag. Touched by their gesture, she sews it on the top part of the sail as a symbol of honor and respect for the soldiers. Later, Noah sees the orphans bringing the animals on board the boat and tries to stop them, because it'll only endanger their voyage. However, Bobby insists on taking them along, but Noah objects and they argue, making Julie cry. A resentful Bobby stomps away and Noah goes to Julie to comfort her. Seeing how much the animals mean to the children, he agrees to let them on board on the condition they make them comfortable beds. A grateful Julie hugs him and quickly chases Bobby to tell him the good news. Noah then sees Bernadette painting the name Noah's Ark on the hull and is shocked, since he hates his name. An apologetic Bernadette is about to erase it when Noah changes his mind. Afterward, Noah and Bernadette spend time together at the beach, growing more in love. Days later, Noah launches the boat into the water to catch the tide. The Japanese men then swim after them and tell them to steer the ship faster because they've rigged their hideout with explosives. Noah is stunned with what they've done, but Cleveland assures him that Commander Hiro designed the boat well and they won't need to return to the island for repairs. The group then sails away with the Japanese steering the ship. Later that night, Bernadette becomes inspired by the story of Noah's Ark in the Bible and goes to find Noah to tell him about her idea. The following day, they send Petey off in hopes someone will read the message attached to the dock. Noah realizes that Petey has flown away in the opposite direction of Hawaii, further disheartening the group. To lift up their moods, Cleveland cooks a meal for them. Before they eat, Julie leads them in prayer and requests God to guide Petey toward Hawaii. The next day, Noah and the soldiers try to fish for food to no avail. Bobby becomes worried about Brutus's poor appetite and tries to give the bulls some of their milk supply, but Noah stops him. He berates the orphan for sharing their rations with the animals, infuriating Bobby. The boy then decides to give his share of milk to the bull, much to Noah's annoyance. Later, Bernadette discovers that they're down to their last supplies and agrees with Noah that they'll have to start eating the chickens to survive. However, Bobby objects and informs them of his fishing method, which involves attracting the creatures using a bright light source, so Noah tries it out. While the rest attempt to fish, Julie opts to stay by the cockpit to watch the fish swim. However, she spots a shark and alerts the others. Noah realizes the shark was scaring away the fish and proposes they kill it. They then build a trap and use their last fish to lure the shark. Moments later, the great white takes the bait and the men try to reel it in. However, the shark is too strong and wrestles from their grip. Bobby tries to locate it but accidentally falls overboard. Noah immediately jumps into the water to rescue him, but the shark circles back and chases them. Seeing their lives in danger, Bernadette grabs Noah's flare gun and kills it. Bobby then thanks Noah for saving his life, but the pilot admonishes him for not staying inside and orders him to go to bed. After Cleveland tucks Bobby in, Noah visits him and apologizes for being so hard on him. Bobby understands that he's also at fault, and the two make up. The following day, a teary Bernadette realizes that the plane crash was her fault and breaks down. But Noah consoles her, saying she was their source of hope when things seemed bleak. Bernadette then utters "I love you" for the first time, and an elated Noah returns the sentiment. Later that night, a strong storm hits the ship, and the group scrambles to secure the animals and their baggage. Commander Hiro then shows his childhood pictures to Julie and tries to communicate with Bobby despite the language barrier, hoping to keep them calm during the typhoon. They try to sleep, but their main mast breaks the cockpit open. Noah and Commander Hiro scramble to seal the door, lest all of them drown. The next morning, Noah goes outside to check the ship's condition and is thankful it weathered the storm. Cleveland quickly calls him back inside to inform him that Brutus is dying, and they plan to shoot the animal to end its agony. However, Bobby objects and tries to plead with Noah. Commander Hiro then grabs the gun from him and tries to make Bobby understand that it's the most humane solution. Just as he is about to shoot it, a siren blares through the air and they rush outside to check. They discover that the US Coast Guard has managed to locate them because of Petey, and the group rejoices. Days later, Noah and Bernadette are married on the B-29 as it's towed toward Oahu.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.